Hello, let's study the Vortex Creeping Frost Cold. Build for an Elementalist. Using cold spells to deal damage over time has some notable advantages over dealing damage via hits. Such type of damage cannot be avoided, dodged, evaded, or blocked. You won't be able to penetrate cold resistance with dots, but you can still lower your enemy's resistances. Elementalist's powerful exposure from Mastermind of Discord, Frostbite, Hextouch, Bone Chill, and Scorch from Legacy of Fury can elevate this build in terms of damage, as despite the inability to penetrate resistances, the build trivializes this defensive layer with these mechanics. You don't need any cast speed or critical strike mods, so it's cheap to assemble. It has no issues with mana due to Eldritch Battery and ES Leech. This maneuver also creates an opportunity to implement the Power of Purpose Keystone for extra armor and 1 extra temporary aura via Divine Blessing support. It's one of the cheapest builds while also being extremely easy to assemble, making it a popular pick for SSF characters. A lot of damage can be sourced from Elementalist's passives and found on the passive skill tree. You're also using multiple spells, each being an additional layer of damage. For damaging skills, we've selected not 1 but 3 different spells that work in a similar manner. They all deal cold. That scales with spell damage. It allows you to benefit from modifiers to generic spell damage as well as damage over time multipliers. These are Vortex, Creeping Frost, and Cold Snap. It has an above-average life pool, armor, evasion, 100% spell suppression chance, and Primal Aegis to mitigate elemental damage. It's also easy to gain suppression and chaos resistance from gear as it uses a lot of rare items. It's rather durable. Clear speed is not very good. The cooldown and range of Vortex skill are the main limiting factors. Single target damage is excellent. You're able to achieve over 10 million DPS, twice as much with decent gear. It's one of the cheapest builds in the game, a great starter. The most effective way to improve your damage, after the first lab and after being able to apply Frostbite and Elemental Weakness, is to get Eye of Malice Helmet. It's extremely good here on the Elementalist. Legacy of Fury boots also surpasses every other pair of shoes. Other uniques we've listed are great and you should definitely consider them. Eye of Malice is the best helmet with its abundance of resistances and 2 types of exposure on hit. Due to curses and the powerful effect of exposure, you will ignore a lot of resistances already, which will then be further lowered by 50% with this helmet. Skin of the Lords is the best armor for this build. Be mindful that you will need the right colors and a keystone that doesn't brick your build. Legacy of Fury is a must-have for any elemental. Build. The effect of Scorch reduces elemental resistances, and the explosions will magnify your clear speed. You can use the Mark of the Shaper if your other ring is influenced by the Shaper or Elder. It adds and increases your damage, grants some life, ES, and summons Anomaly on kill for even more. Occultist has some great notables you can use in this build. Void Beacon, Frigid Wake, Unholy Authority, and Profane Bloom are some of the best ones. You can get them with a pair of Forbidden Jewels. You're using Grace, Determination, Malevolence, and Hatred linked to the Divine Blessing. Grace and Determination offer defensive options, while Hatred and Malevolence are offensively oriented. Remember that you cannot penetrate resistances with dot. In terms of attributes, seek Strength if you're using Determination, and Dexterity since Swift Affliction requires a fair amount of it. The build is very simple and it deals mainly cold damage over time. The most effective way to scale up the damage is with the gem level. Cap your chaos resistance at 75% and spell suppression at 100%. Equip a weapon, scepter or wand, with a lot of spell damage, multiplier, and an extra level or 2 to your cold skills. A good one can be expensive. Get a shield that would increase the level of all cold spell skills, one with a lot of maximum life, resistances, and attributes if needed. Body armor should be a transitional armor before you can afford Skin of the Lords. Get the most basic defenses like life, resistances, suppression, and increased effect of auras as Eldritch mods. Basic gloves will be enough. A lot of maximum life, resistances, and spell suppression are the most important. Try to gain some beneficial Eldritch mods here too. Belt, again, maximum life and resistances are the most important stats. Flask modifiers, energy shield, strength, and chaos resistances can be good additions. Maximum life, resistances, multiplier, and an extra level or two for your cold skill gems are modifiers that you need on an amulet. Maximum life, resistances, and attributes will be the most important on a ring. Try to gain some extra chaos resistance and multiplier here as well. After your attributes and resistances are sorted out, aim for increased maximum life with some cold spell damage modifiers on your jewels. We've used one large cluster jewel. Aim for 3 of the notables from this list and no more than 8 passives in total. Get 1 life flask with instant life recovery and bleed immunity, quartz, granite, jade, and a silver or quicksilver flask as well. These should increase your armor, evasion, movement speed, and reduce the effect of shock or grant you curse immunity via their suffixes. Your main damage setup hosts 2 active skills. Vortex is an instant spell that deals quite a lot of damage initially, and that continues to deal cold that scales up with your spell damage. Creeping Frost creates a chilled ground that deals cold damage over time, but also deals damage on impact. It's very similar to Vortex and will benefit from the same modifiers. Link them with Empower, Swift Affliction, Controlled Destruction, and Elemental Focus support gems. Cold Snap is yet another cold spell that deals cold damage and cold which scales up with spell damage. Select the Vol version if you can, and use it against tough enemies. Link it with Bone Chill, Cruelty, and Controlled Destruction support gems. Enemies chilled by Cold Snap will take increased cold damage, based on how chilled they are. We've managed to extend the curse limit to 3 with Whispers of Doom and Unholy Authority. Frostbite reduces the cold resistance of your opponent. Elemental Weakness reduces all types of elemental resistances. With Punishment, enemies below half of their life pool will take much more damage from all sources. Be sure your curse limit is 3 if you want to use it. Link them with Arcanist Brand. It casts all these curses so that you don't have to press 3 buttons, but 1. Malevolence is an aura that causes nearby enemies to take increased damage over time and increases your skill effect duration. Determination adds and increases armor to mitigate physical damage. Grace adds and increases evasion for a chance to avoid damage from attacks. Defiance Banner increases evasion and armor. Nearby enemies have reduced crit chance. Use Frostblink to travel faster and dodge attacks. Leap Slam can be used when Frostblink is on cooldown if you happen to wield a scepter, not a wand. Set up Molten Shell as your movement key. It will periodically protect you from incoming hit damage for some time. Hatred grants more cold damage. It will be a temporary aura, and despite its high mana cost, you can afford it via Eldritch Battery and some ES from items. To do so, link it with Divine Blessing support and Inspiration, to lower its mana cost. Kill all the bandits, it's the only good solution to the bandits quest. For a major god we recommend a Brine King. It prevents multiple consecutive stuns, and after an upgrade, it protects you from being frozen and reduces the chill effect on you. The best minor god seems to be Abarath. It reduces the ignite duration on you and later protects you completely from burning ground effects. On the passive skill tree, seek mostly maximum life, elemental damage, cold damage, spell suppression, damage over time, and mana reservation efficiency. Allocate charisma, sovereignty, and influence to fit all the auras we've listed. Don't forget to allocate the Eldritch Battery Keystone. Get 50 extra life as life mastery, and for reservation masteries get increased effect of auras and increased damage per aura on you. If your spell suppression is low, get the suppression mastery to make it lucky. For the protection mastery, we've selected corrupted blood immunity. That's all there is to it. Like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel to stay updated on new builds.